Hello, this exchange is an insight about my forthcoming book called Building an Empire, or let's call it How to Achieve Something Significant. And I will start by reading the quote: Building an empire start with those who have your best interest, those who pretend to have your best interest, and those who don't have it. Keep all those categories close all the way up because you will see them commuting all the way along. So this is the quote that we will be discussing today. And first of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Serge Maurice Lobreau, and I've been an entrepreneur for 2 decades now, and more seriously, professionally and successfully, let's say with 8 figures and above multi-million businesses for 10 years now. Okay, so this journey has been challenging because as an entrepreneur, you are going through many issues with many people, and trust me, there is a lot of people gravitating around you when you're an entrepreneur, so you need to understand that the experience I'm going to share with you is not only happened to me, but to many other entrepreneurs out there, and they all experience that, what I'm about to tell you right now, and I hope that will serve you along your journey. Okay, so let's go deep and put a foot into what we are doing right now and what we are trying to express here. The first category of people you need to surround yourself with is those who help you to reach your goal, to create something significant. So I'm talking about someone who, and let's put it clear, the kind of business I'm talking about here. I'm talking about someone who has a vision and who is ready to build something bigger than him, and something that can be transmitted to generation, even if it's not here tomorrow. That's the kind of business I'm talking about right now, okay? Even if his kid dies tomorrow, the business can survive them and can survive him. That's the kind of perspective I'm trying to achieve here, okay? So that first category, I called it rocks. So those are the rocks, okay? They have your best interest. Most of the time, they can be your member of your family, the nephew, your wife, your grandparents, your parents. So most of the time, they are siblings, okay? Or parents and cousins, etc., etc. Okay? You can sometimes, and many times, it's your wife. So you are sharing your life with those guys, etc. So despite the highs and lows you can meet during your journey of entrepreneurship, that will be there every time. And your wife and the kids are, by definition, most of the time, what we call the rocks. Okay, let's say the kids love their parents unconditionally if they have been good to them. Okay, so they will never pretend, they will never cheat, they will never shake about this news. They are stable rocks. You can categorize rocks with 3 precious minerals, equivalent to explain that even in that category there is different levels. Let's differentiate them with precious metals. Okay, so the first category into the rocks are the sapphire. They are in the category of brotherhood, sisterhood, and most of the time they are the brothers and sisters. We all know how brothers and sisters behave. They can be jealous and do anything possible for you to fail or to thrive. At the end of all the journey, they will support you no matter what. The second category in the rocks are the ruby. Okay, they are most of the time the parents. They are very supportive in most businesses that you will be launching. They will be the first investors and put the money out of the business if the business collapses also. So they will be the first in and they will be the first out. Okay? But let's say they are rubies and they will be there. And those rubies are crucial in your organization because they might not have another revenue stream. They will help you in this category because you are also the reason why they are eating. So they will continue to support you because they don't have any other choice. Do not get me wrong here. This is not a judgment. It's necessary because if I'm a parent, okay, and my kid and my child has a talent, and they can make money from out of this talent. He can make money, and I can make a living and money too. I will be doing it. It's human nature. Okay, we should not be ashamed to do that. Okay, we have several examples out there, and especially in one area, which is the football area and basketball, etc., etc. So we saw the sapphire, we saw the ruby. Now we can talk about the diamonds, which is the last one. Diamonds are those people that are not necessarily your family, or supportive brothers and sisters. You have friends that you have chosen because you don't choose your family, but you can select your friend at least before your wife or your kids. Some of us have best friends since before they met their wife or before they got the kid, and those guys are still there, okay? They have been there since your highs and lows, and they will be the one making the speech during your wedding. I'm 100% sure you know who I'm talking about, okay? That will be the godfather of your first kids. They can be your best friends or distant cousins, whatever, okay? They can even be your wife, So that classification and that category of diamonds are amazing, and those guys are the one you have to look for your organization, and they are vital to your organization when you're trying to build the kind of organization that are defined at the beginning of this small, let's say, interview. Now we need to speak about the second category. Remember, we talk about the rocks. Now we're going to talk about the overplayers. Okay? This is the second category, and those are the ones pretending, to be rocks. Okay? They are those pretending to have your best interest. Okay? The other players, according to my experience, are necessary. Let's say it's even mandatory to your business. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because this is something I learned along the way, along my journey. Okay? First of all, they are often very expressive. Okay? They are the one enthusiastic in any situation that will find the positive. In your office, look around you, look around your team, there is always people very enthusiastic. It can be good. Okay, it can be good because when something goes wrong, they will always overreact when there are some difficulties. And that can be very positive. It can spread like a fire. Okay? And even it's not what they're looking for, that can create a positive atmosphere, because by faking it, like everything will be good, by creating a positive atmosphere. Because even if people are wrongly interpreting what the other players are trying to do on their message, meaning faking, okay, overreacting, when in reality all they want is your failure. So the message people will receive will be like, you need to stay positive, we lost the battle, not the war, and blah blah blah. That's how the people will interpret it. So you need those other players. You need them in your organization, because sometimes that will be a source of optimism, of strength. So you need to keep them in your organization. Do not get rid of them when you will find out who they are, because you will be like, they're faking it, they are not real to me, blah, blah, blah. Once you find them, keep them close. Because something initiated to create chaos sometimes end up giving you a second brief at the end of the day, which is very good for your organization. Okay, we will go deeper once again into this overplayer stuff. So when you find them, it's going to be a bit weird. Sometimes they are hard to follow. They are still in the business, and so you went through a lot of failure and a lot of loss, but they're still here. That means that deep in their hearts, okay, they are there for you. They don't know it yet, maybe. They just have a deep empty pockets, and they just see because they don't have any other option, and most of the time that's the reason they're still around. Okay, so there will be those that will be repeating, that they are supporting you, that they have trust in you, that they are still here, that they love you. They will insist on reminding you that they are there, supporting you, and they love you, etc. So make a guess and try to see those guys around you. If I compare with the rocks, we will never do that. I will never say those words to you. Think about it. When was the last time rocks told you that they trust you, that you will succeed, etc.? Try to remember that. But I don't need to tell you that. They're showing that with act on daily basis. The rocks, they will call you and act like let's say a shrink, listening to your problems and difficulties. They will not insist you move forward and continue your business if that brings you pain. Okay? They keep themselves to give you advice unless you ask for it. And even if they are doing it, it will be in a sincere way. And they will also integrate it with their response, the notion of what I call a soul provider, let's say. This is the name I found. I was obliged to find a name though. So the soul provider, meaning that you can stop your business today, that will not beneficiate me just as it was not beneficiate me before, in a nutshell. That is the small, the shortest definition that I can give you. Most of the time, they will not have all the keys to understand the business that you are doing, but they seize the chancellor of it, which is you. As they know you, okay, they know you since many, many years, sometimes better than your parents. Sometimes they know you better than your brothers, better than your wife, better than your kids, better than your sisters and cousins, etc. So they will never force you to do something you don't want to do. Okay. But at no point will they say that you can arrive, you will achieve this, you have to fight and do this, etc., etc. Most of the time, themselves, they don't know that they're overplayers. That's how you can compare with the other players that usually say, yeah, you can do this, while they do not have any clue to succeed. You will recognize the other players also based on their, today it's 2022, so based on their activity on social media, which is a powerful tool when you know how to use it, okay? The digital life, let's say, is a reflection, okay, of your physical one. And as they're always thinking about their next moves, I'm talking about the other players, they will reach out to try to grab some data, some information, okay, about you, okay? And even if they have those information, they will keep it for future self-gratification. They will be able to exchange it for a position, etc. So it's crucial to collect data to see what the other players are doing, let's say, on the social media, on digital life. So those other players are essential in your organization and usually occupy, let's say, the marketing positions, okay? We had some at the beginning of the company, let's say before we go public. They were partners and they worked for a US company. And they were always super excited. Whenever we met, we went at some point, we went to San Francisco, no, it was LA, Los Angeles, to meet them, and they were excited because it's the US mentality, you know, don't get me wrong, but they're trying to get always the positive stuff. So it's a good thing, okay? You will rarely find another player doing accounting that will be very rare or into finance, you know, because those guys are really pragmatic. So I don't think you will find any of those what we call a psyche in those positions or into even developers. So they stick with the marketing side and very expressive communication stuff, etc. Other players are key that must stay in the company. Even if one day, okay, they are leaving, you need to have a backup plan to replace them ASAP with other players. Okay, they are vital to your organizations. Okay. It's crucial, I'm going to repeat it here, to keep them in the company, okay? To continue to play that part of the symphony you are trying to write. I like this category where they're creating a good atmosphere at the office. Now we have the last category, the observers. I have been seeking a word for this category for weeks now. I will use an example that I had, like, let's say 24, 25 years ago. I'm going to try to express that in order to try to find a better example, a very visual example for you to understand what is an observer. It was the summer of 1998 and we were celebrating the victory of the French soccer team at the World Cup. It was the first time France had won the World Cup, first time ever. And everybody was excited, everybody was celebrating, you know. And we were on holidays near Geneva, in Switzerland. We went out and celebrated with some French at the bar and on the street with all the French flags and shirt, you know, all those, all the flags and shit, you know, ba ba ba, yes, on est les champions, on est les champions, on est les champions. And I was with some of my brothers, cousins and friends, etc. What was meant to happen when you put some young and stupid boys in the same area, most of the time they end up fighting. That's what happened that night. We fought, and despite being outnumbered, we were pretty good. And we were pretty good at it because my brothers and I practiced kickboxing and Muay Thai, etc. So we were since years. I mean, since maybe 10 years, and we were really good at it. Okay, so despite the numbers, we were good. We were still fighting good, you know. So the fight was brutal. And at some point, I found myself on the ground with numerous people beating the shit out of me. Really, I was like, but I was not feeling anything. I was protecting myself, okay, as I have learned. And at some point, one of the group's guys whom, let's call him the boss of this place, shows up and spots the fight and stops the fight, yelling at his people. When I stood up, my buddy and I were in good shape, as I explained to you, practicing boxing, street fighting, etc. A few days later, we remembered the fight night, okay? But I couldn't accurately, describe it, I couldn't remember exactly what I've done, etc. So I couldn't explain exactly how it started. And I remember I was in the middle of some punches. One of our friend's narrative of that night was accurate. Yeah, you're arriving. He described all the events. How my cousins were fighting, how I was fighting, how I avoided this jab, how I knocked out another guy, how I used my, low kick techniques to handicap this other guy. So the description was amazing. The description was so accurate. Like it was a movie, like he was watching it. The precision was terrific, like in the movie, like I just said. And that was really weird and that was really strange. At some point I was wondering, how do you remember all of that? I was like, how do you remember that? I mean, nobody here remember all. Well, that's what is an observer. We found out that he was under a car. He had an iron bar, okay? But he couldn't handle the fight. He was too busy to observe. He was not a coward. He was too busy to observe. Usually that can be like, let's say, if we can take a kind of a description, like in the middle of the war, you have a tank. In the middle of soldiers, you show up with the tank. The game is over, okay? He could have ended this fight by beating one of those guys with the iron bar, finish. But he decided not to. He did not. He did not run away either. He stays there, observing. Those observers are essential because there will be those relating facts with astonishing accuracy. There are those who will be chosen, as witnesses. The day of media or some Netflix series will talk about the rise or the fall of XYZ company. That will be the ones interviewed. You remember those guys in many interviews. They're there and they're describing what happened and blah, 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 It will be a company, a staff member explaining what happened, at which moment this happened, and why they were there. They were happy to be part of the company. Then those are important into your organization, into your journey, and what you're trying to achieve needs and require those observers. They will play a key role in your organization, and they will be the one to shape a reality that is not necessarily right or full of, let's call it alternative reality. Okay? So people will believe them because the level of details is so accurate that it cannot be lying. They portray themselves as key people most of the time, okay, if the company is successful, but they will represent themselves as a whistleblower if it goes, bankrupt. So those observers are essential. Now you need to see why in this first line of my quote, I'm saying observers, overplayers, and rocks can commute. I repeat, observers, overplayers, and rocks can commute. Why they can commuting over the years and why they can commute in both directions, from other players to rocks, from rocks to other players, and so on and so forth. We all live this situation. One time, the situation is where rocks become other players. So those rocks, the diamonds one, the diamonds are really strong, strongly rooted. The sapphire brothers and sisters can become other players. When something goes wrong, if you have noticed it, even if it's not your fault, even if you are not responsible for it, to protect themselves, because maybe they introduce the business to some friends, etc., we play the role of good cop, bad cop. In front of you, or we'll be like, I will be there for you, you're my brother, this is the blood, you will succeed, we are a family, etc. And these other players repeat things like, I'm trusting you, like I just said, you're gonna kill the business, etc. Those are just words because the acts will be very different. Okay. But we'll never put action beyond the comments that to help you to achieve what you are trying to do. So those rocks often slide to other players and can play this ping pong game throughout time, from other players to rocks and so on and so forth. So it's more infrequent for diamonds to slide to the other players category. Diamond will stay diamonds until you die. They will be there no matter what. Those diamonds remind me about the brotherhood link between military, because those guys are military guys who made war. Those in the army will understand what I'm trying to do, because they fight for their life, they fight to defend each other, and they have this bond which is even more significant than the one you can have with your family, because you face something that transcends you, okay? Things you have never been encountering with any member of your own family, and that will last forever. I did observe that with my entourage, like I expressed to you, especially those into the military sector. Those with diamonds, category are lucky, because having one is really, really complicated. Most of the times, you will not have anyone around you like that. But when you have one, you are very, very, very fortunate. Those rocks will slide. Other players say that you will succeed, they will be there for you, but when you need them, they will have what we call phony excuses, like we have kids, it's complicated, blah blah blah. And those same guys, you helped them in the past, but they will respond to you that. You can insist on rushing them what you want them to do, because they have kids, they have wife, they have issues in mind, and you are not the priority for them, even if the other way was the case. Once they slide into the other player's wall, they will stick there to see, okay, and they will continue to say hi in front of you, etc. And they will call your parent maybe to complain and to say maybe you should talk to him, he should stop because he's losing money, blah 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 blah. Okay, let's say by doing that, also by calling your parent, maybe they can have premium information, so they can act. Okay. Either by accelerating their commuting from other players to observers, where they will become quieter and quieter and quieter and won't say anything. Okay, so this is all about collecting data to see what will be the next move. So from this phase, they have the correct data and the right information. Okay, they have found themselves in a position where the company XYZ is about to hire them. That is when they are sliding into observers. Okay, if it's bad. As a CEO or a manager, you must also identify and observe them. As I told you before, the observer will be the ones to give the interview to the media. Okay? They are relatively discreet. They are multitask skills people. Okay? Able to commute, change, and interact. In that case, they can commute in many directions, an observer. Let's take an example of an observer. Let's try to find an example, which is an accountant. Okay? He's there to observe, to work on the company account and balance sheet, etc. Okay? So he saw something was not right. He did nothing. He's just watching. He's collecting data, and he's collecting shred of evidence. Maybe if something goes wrong, he will be able to produce, negotiate something, to clean his name, etc. He will stay because he's getting paid, the salary is good, and he has some project. He just bought a house, he just get a kid, and he can't afford to leave the company. Okay, so now let's see the problem from the bottom. Okay, you have those observers who observe the business. They can analyze the situation and analyze people. They will not act until they will have a significant percentage of success, let's say 99.99% of the next move I will be doing. When there is uncertainty in the business, they see that if I press this button or if I arrange that of the code, the company will have like 9-10 figures revenue stream, etc. That level of precision. If you're doing something, it's just because you will have a self-gratification, a future self-gratification. Once you will do that and get the self-gratification, at some point you will say, I have the company to thrive while I am faking it, etc. I've been in this company for so many years and I was not that sure in the beginning. Now I'm sure because I saw something. I work, so that means that I'm in the right industry. Those observers will be those in the first place who says yes, yes, always yes. Even if I don't understand anything, you are talking to them, they say yes, yes, yes. They need to go through their own journey. Just like those guys hurting themselves in the forest, they need to find the purpose of their life, why they are here, etc., etc. So while they're doing things, they need to find the purpose of the company, what the company is trying to achieve. That's the one I'm talking about. Because you can talk to people and give advice, but we're not listening to you. They need to do their own voyage. They need to go through their own journey. And observers, when they act and get something in return, there will be a period where we'll stop faking things and start to say things. Okay? If the company is there, it's because of me. I like what I'm doing. I'm getting good money. The CEO is not that bad. So he saw all your journey as an entrepreneur. He saw everything. Okay? So he knows everything. At that point, he's observing everybody in the company. He's observing even the other players, etc. So he will transform himself into a rock. Because he saw everything. He's convinced, strongly, deeply convinced. He saw the lows and highs and everything. So this observer who can overplay knows what you went through or where you went through. Now he understands the vision more than anyone because he lived it. Once you have turned the observer who can be called, let's say, an enemy, also into rock, he will be a strong ally. That's the one of the quote. That's a part of the quote. And you know that quote, we say that keep your enemies close and your enemy even closer. Okay? Because your enemy can become your best supporter sometimes into the business world. So it is harder to hate someone than to love someone. You know that quote also. When you love someone, you don't have to play. Let's say it's natural. You don't think about it. It's just, you just do things. It's love. When you have to fake stuff, when you have always to find excuses to trust someone, it's exhausting. And I'm willing to add to observer something else. Let's say another characteristic. Okay, they are not there in the company to do what we call an inside job. Okay, they are not there to do what we call sabotage. They are here to see and observe. If they see a failure that can lead to the company closure, they won't tell it. They will go with the flow. That is important to understand. If you only surrounded yourself with people who loves you or care about you and want the best for you, most of them will not be pragmatic. I tested it. I tried it. As they love you, they do not always tell you the truth, They can hide the facts from your eyes because they cannot see you suffering. That's the human nature. So they won't tell you the truth. Most of the time, they are just trying to be there, okay, when you fail, for them to be there for you. When you have to go back to your family bedroom, that you left 25 years ago, they will be there for you. Many entrepreneurs go through several issues. I cannot share them with anyone. They cannot communicate with their parents. They cannot share with the kids because they are scared, to deceive them maybe. Stupid things can happen to an entrepreneur, really. Serious and stupid things can happen to an entrepreneur. They won't be able to tell you the truth. They will lie or give you an alternative fact because they love you and they don't want you to suffer. So definitely, if you only surrounded yourself with rocks, most of the time, you will fail because they will never tell you the truth. If one day you have people around you telling you bad things about people surrounding you and you know it, you're not obliged to explain to them why these guys who's talking shit about you and about your project is still in the business and is still around you. I explained to you already that. He has his part to play. This journey is like an orchestra where everybody has a partition to play. So it will be best if you keep the observer, the observers, the other players, and the rocks close to you. That is my own opinion. Some people will surround themselves with rocks only. They will succeed. In the first cycle, also, it's very important. You need to mix rocks, other players, and observers. Because if you're creating several layers, several cycles, let's say in a mathematics way, putting only rocks in the first cycle, you will have a blind spot. okay, you will have a dead end, and you will not see things, the other stuff coming. So it's really important to mix all those people in the company, and outside the company you need what we call the negative, marketing team, the haters, like we used to call them, because they will force you to see what's going on in your company, what you are not doing good, to change it, or what you are doing good. And it's hard in the beginning because you see your name associated with some dirty other words, association. But at the end of the day, as you're gonna be delivering what you said that you're gonna deliver, you're gonna have success. At some point, this noise will be really, really drawn into all the other positive, let's say, noise of success, etc., etc. So that's what I was willing to talk to you today, and it's a really interesting subject, and I will go deep. I will be releasing a book that I've started on it, because this is really important to learn and to understand, because those kind of stuff you don't learn them in school. Thanks for watching this video. My name is Serge Maurice Lobreau. I'm the founder of Sapien Group and Flash Group, and I hope you enjoy this little exchange, and I hope to see you soon on the channel. So do not forget to subscribe and to ring the bell, because we will be producing a lot of content to help our community to understand what we are doing, and to help other entrepreneurs to save times in what they are trying to achieve. Thank you for watching. See you soon.